All right, welcome to lecture 3. And in this lecture, we are going to look at global e-business and collaboration. So the topic has two main themes, e-business and also collaboration. Last week, we looked at the role of information systems in business today. And technically, we also focused on the functions of information systems. So today we are going to look at information systems or global e-business and also collaborations. So technically, we shall also look at business processes and how information system can be used to strengthen business processes. All right, so these are the objectives of this lecture today. First, you should be able to know how to define and describe business processes, and then also know the relationship of business processes to information systems. Then you know how to evaluate the role played by information or systems serving the various levels of management in business and their relationship to each other. So in this component, we shall look at the types of information systems and the tools used for use in each of the levels in the hierarchical structure. Then next, you know how to how enterprise applications. So I'll talk more about enterprise applications and how it improves organizational performance. Then we look at collaboration and the teamwork in organization. How can we use information business? All right. So now, before I start, I have this question. If you have the answer or you want to respond, all you need to do is to just raise up your hand. I'll give you the chance that you respond. So my question to the class is that what is business process? This term, when they say business process, what does it mean? First of all, we need to establish what business process is. Then we can know how information system can be used to strengthen business processes. So what is business process? Francis, I know that today, IS is the last lecture for the day, and you're always exhausted at this stage. I know that, but try your best. Francis, what is business process?
So when you talk about business process, it is a strategies that you can use to process your business so that you'll be able to achieve the objective and efficiently and effectively.
Okay, that's cool. Any other? Any other? Any other? All right. So let me quickly talk about business processes. So like I said, at the end of this lecture, okay, there are a lot of hands. Leonard.
Okay, so in every organization, there are processes or the activities that happens in organization. So the business process is collecting all those activities to produce a product or service. Collection of the activities.
All right, good. Georgia, your hand is up. Kindly take the floor. Yes.
I think a business process for me is from setting up the business to operating the business at the end of the receiving the rewards, the cycle of the business and the process.
All right. It appears many of your network, I don't know whether I'm the one having the challenges. It appears some of you, I cannot hear you well. Okay, so thank you very much for the insight. Now let me just practicalize this. I know some of us may not be so much familiar with business process. Okay, so Abdullah, so your hand is up. and then kindly say something. Or if you are talking, we cannot hear you. I think you're having a network problem. We cannot hear you up the line. So let me call Obia someone. Obia someone.
Okay,
Can you
so
unmute
I
yourself
think,
and then speak up? Yes.
yeah, I think business processes are the various activities that a business go through on a daily basis to ensure that they produce their products or the services and
Very good. All right. So
give it to their
yes,
customers.
thank you very much, Obia someone. Let's move on. So you see, in every business, let's say you have a business here. A business has a goal, and the goal is to attain at the end of, or let's say you set up a goal. Of course, you have a goal, and the business aiming to attain that goal. Now, in the business setup, there are a lot of, you may have the general goal as part of the strategic, objectives, but you set up other goals, and within you have several other steps and processes that goes in the business. So, for instance, let's say that you pick a process. Let's call this one a process. What it means is that a process itself is just a steps of activities that you have to go through to achieve a certain goal. So you start from here and you go through series of steps. And at the end of the day, you want to achieve this goal. So this is a step, another step, another step, another step. Then you go through this step just to achieve this goal. Now we can take, for instance, recruitment in a business setup or business organization. You want to recruit. First of all, to recruit, you write down the call. Then, of course, writing the call is a step or an activity. Then you advertise the call. Of course, you will give it to your boss to look at it if the call is okay. He'll look at it. The next thing is to advertise. After advertising, people will apply. So these are steps. Another step is that after the application, you receive all applications and sort them. The next step is that you set up a committee, and the committee will review the application. Then they will shortlist the people who are going to be interviewed. After the interview, you invite them. After the interview, you select the suitable candidates, and then you invite the candidates probably, or you give him an offer letter, the person will start work. So at the end of the day, the goal is that you want to recruit somebody to occupy a position, but you have to go through all these series of steps in order to get a person recruited. So this, for instance, is a process. Now, the word business is actually a collection of different processes. So this is one process within a business. You may mention other processes as well, because within a business function, you have the human resource, you have marketing. Marketing too may have series of processes that goes in there. Now, I always say that an organization who is able to analyze its business processes and innovate the business processes, that is where the organization can stay competitively within the business ecosystem. And how do organizations innovate its business processes? And to do the innovation, you cannot ignore information technology. And I keep saying that information technology has become the fulcrum for which many businesses revolves. So meaning that you cannot survive within the business ecosystem if your innovation does not actually encompasses information technology. Levi, Kosa, your hand is up. Kosa, your hand is up. Can you ask your question or? Hello? Okay. So now, this is an example. This is a definition to business process. So business process is characterized by flow of materials, flow of information, and flow of knowledge. Flow of knowledge. So like I mentioned of, so you set up a goal, then you go through series of activities or steps in order to achieve that goal. So another thing that characterizes a business process is that it's a set of activities. You go through different activities, different steps in order to achieve the goal that you want to do. And then business process is also tied to a functional area or a cross-functional area. When they say a functional area, it represents the various units or departments within a business. For instance, you can pick business A, and in this business A, they have the accounts or finance department, they have marketing department or units, they have, let's say, human resource management. Then, of course, you have the information technology unit. These units or department represent functional areas of business A. Functional areas of business A. So with the process that I described, for instance, the recruitment process that I described, it can fall strictly under the human resource unit or department. So if the recruitment process falls under the human resource unit or department, then we say that this one is a functional process, just as a functional process. However, some of the processes cut across different functional areas. For instance, somebody may place an order for a product. Now, the marketing department or the sales department will receive the order. After receiving the order, they will send the order to the accounts department for them to now issue invoice and what have you. Meaning that you are now crossing from the sales or marketing department to the accounting department. In this case, we say that there's a cross-functional. So when the process cut across more than one functional area, then we say that this one is a cross-functional. And then many a times, because of collaboration and teamwork, and businesses do not work in silos nowadays, we often have cross-functional processes. Even recruitment of a personnel, sometimes it may even go to different sections, because if you are recruiting, at some point, you may also want to get some information, probably from the accounts, probably from the market. Maybe I'm recruiting a person for marketing department. So marketing would send some information about the person or the requirement they are looking for. So sometimes the processes cut across several functional areas. Now, a business process may be an asset or liability. So based on the explanation that I have given so far in terms of a business process, now my question to the class is that, when do we say that a business process is an asset? And when do we also say that a business process is also a liability? So the question is open to the floor, and please, you can respond. When do we say that a business process is a liability? And then when do we say that a business process is an asset? Yes. There are some people in the class, they have never spoken in class. It has always been Obian Samoa, Ms. Batali, Kosa, and then some few other people. So now I will take Kafui, because I'm not sure Kafui has ever spoken. So today, Kafui, take the floor.
No, I've not spoken before, but I would describe the business process as an asset when it adds value to whatever the company is doing. And liability, yes. And liability when it takes away from the core of the company, when it doesn't add value to the company.
Very good. So that's good. Okay, good. Kafui. Let me call Ms. Batali. Some of you may want to exemplify the difference. Ms. Batali.
Okay, sir. Sometimes, can everybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So sometimes a business process could be a liability when, obviously, the opposite of what he said, but sometimes when there are bottlenecks and things that prevent people from achieving the set goal or the target objectives of the company, when certain processes lag and prevent you from achieving the overall aim of the business at a particular point in time, we can say that that process is a liability. For example, if you have a waterfall system where if the manager does not tell the subordinate, nothing will be done. Where the subordinate is always waiting for the manager's approval to do something and doesn't have the room to innovate or create new things on their own, it's sometimes presents something like a bottleneck where you're unable to do things and achieve productivity on your own, where you have to depend on other people for your tasks to be done. In that way, the process, the business process, which is the way they do their things and have been doing it since, may need to change because it's becoming more of a liability than an asset.
Very good, very good. Thank you very much for the example. You know, in most cases, I always say that in most cases, a process within a business is a liability in public sector. You know, in the private sector, every organization is so particular about how its processes are innovative enough in order to achieve, you know, the organizational goal and bring value to the organization. But in the public sector, especially the government sectors and other sectors, sometimes people give less regard about the process. For instance, you may want to, maybe through a process, you may want to deliver a product to somebody in, let's say, Bolga, from Accra to Bolga. Then the product you are delivering, maybe the value of the product, the whole product is, let's say, 500 Ghana cedis. And then the processes you go through to get the product delivered may even cost around 2,000 Ghana cedis to get it delivered. More, the value of the thing is just 500 Ghana cedis. And with that, you know, like I said, mostly the public sector, you know, do not actually analyze this kind of, you know, processes to see whether it is adding value or it is actually causing a problem, a liability to the organization. But in the private sector, especially the banks and some few other sectors, they always make sure that the process is actually adding value to the organization rather than creating loss to the organization. Now let's see. So these are some examples of functional business processes. Functional business processes. So now, if you look at this, this is a functional area of a business organization, just as you see it here. You have an account, marketing, sales, human resource, and production. These are all functional areas of a business. Now, let's take, for instance, marketing and production department. This one is an example of a process within manufacturing and production. Assembling a product. To assemble a product, you go through some series or some processes to get it assembled. If you take sales and marketing department, also identifying a customer. I know that in this class, we have a lot of marketing people in the class. Identifying a customer alone is a process that you have to go through. And Rita, do you want to say something? Rita? Okay. So it's a process that you have to go through in order to identify a customer. Now, let's take finance and accounting department, for instance. Creating a financial statement. Actually, I'm not a finance or accounting person. But of course, I know that you have to go through a lot of stages to be able to create a financial statement. Maybe accounting people can give us an example. And then I already gave an example in respect of the hiring of an employee, you know, like recruitment. Now, I want to still open the floor to the class. Can someone give us an account, sorry, not account, but a process within the manufacturing and production unit? And also, I want an example from a marketing department, not necessarily identifying a customer, but, you know, any process within the marketing space, and also finance and accounting. So please capitalize on your background and give us an example. Ms. Batali.
Okay, so I'll speak for the marketing side.
Yes.
So, for example, you want to launch a campaign. You want to begin a Q1 campaign for your company. First of all, you need to determine the overall goal for the company, and then for the year, and then break down into quarterly objectives. Then you plan the campaign, you plan with ideas and all that. Then you take quotes from vendors because you're going to use media platforms that you've selected in your planning to do the advertising. If it's digital, you are looking at the online platforms, how much you intend to spend, and what are the KPIs associated. Then you take the quotes from all the vendors and you take them to finance, or you take them for approval from management. From taking it for approval, after approval, you take it to finance, and then finance will begin processing the checks. After processing the checks for that side, then you come back to executing your campaign. All the vendors that you've contacted, you now speak to them and execute it exactly how you planned. After executing, then you hoist the banners, or you put up your billboards, or you have your radio and TV ads go up. So before the campaign can be declared as live, you would have gone through a couple of processes before you get there.
Good. So what it means is that even if I give you the opportunity to give us another process, you will do that. So meaning that within a functional area, you can have several processes. And then I don't know what you did. Can we say that this process is within the marketing space, right? Did you actually, do you cross to other functional area?
Yes, I went to finance.
Okay, so it becomes a cross-functional
as well. Yes.
Very good. So that's cross-functional. All right. So any other example from the class? So Leonard.
Okay, so I also talk from the marketing page. I'll scale it down to where I so before a customer loads from you, or puts in an order to load a product, first of all must agree on price. In the agreement of price, you need to communicate price to the customer, depending on what the customer, whether the customer is a credit customer or a cash customer. If the customer is a cash customer, he makes payments, receive value. So you cross over to, that is finance, to ensure that we have received value for that particular order or payment for that order before you allow the order to go through and then load. And after you've loaded, you prepare a report that you send to management for decision.
All right, very good. Thank you very much, Leonard. Now you see, these are all preliminary explanations regarding business processes. Now, this course is about information system. Somebody will sit somewhere and ask, so what is business processes and others doing in information system? And information system or management information system is the study of information system within business and management space. Now, this is where we are going to see how we can link the information system to these business processes. I don't know whether you can see the diagram, the figure right now on the screen. So you see that we have 3 functional areas: production, accounting, and sales. Now, this is a process. A customer makes an order, and then the sales department receives the order, generate it in a way. Of course, he makes that order through online. They generate the order, then submit the order to the accounting department. Accounting will now look at they'll check credits and probably approve the credits, and then send advice to the assembly department. Maybe the product has to be assembled. Then the production department will now assemble the product, and then the product is shipped. But at the same time, while the product is being shipped, then an invoice is also generated. Okay, now if you look at this one, this is a process, and this is a cross-functional process. All right, so now let's compare this cross-functional process to this cross-functional process. Then you tell me the difference, and then which one do you think is more efficient and should be adapted? Now, the same 3 functional areas, the same process, a customer makes an order, maybe via online through a form. Then the sales department generates the order. They submit the order to the account department. They check credit, approve credit, then generate invoice. After generating the invoice, then they send it to assembly or production department. They will assemble the product and finally send the product to the customer. Now, look at the two. Look at this one critically, and look at this one, and tell me the difference. What do you see? And if you can comment on the efficiency, which one do you think is better? This one. So let me put one here. Let me write one here. Then write two here. So now look at it. So 1 and 2. Which one is better? Which one do you think? Comment on it and then tell which one is better. Bennett. Bennett.
Yeah, hello, sir. I think the second one is much better because you can't, looking at the first one, after the approval of credit, nothing shows that the client may continue with the purchase. So why are you assembling product? What if you assemble and he's not able to buy? Then it means you wasted resources. But when you generate, when you look at the second one, when you generate the invoice, it means that there is a little bit of an agreement. So after the invoice has been agreed on, then you can go to assembling product. Then finally you ship.
Okay. Yeah. Now let me explain it this way. You see, we are talking about information systems. Here, you look at it this way, that a system has been developed. And this system, if you look at the first one, approved credit and then assembly products are occurring at the same time. And then you also generate an invoice. Well, it could be a receipt. You let me put receipt here. So meaning that you approve, you assemble at the same time that the shipping is be shipped to the person. And of course, the receipt or whatever, or it can be an invoice, but paid and then also sent via online to the customer. But if you look at the second one, after the approval, you need to move on to the next step, but to generate the invoice before you then send it to assembly department for assembly, and then you move on to the shipping. Now, if you compare the two, one of them here, two things are occurring in parallel. But once they are occurring in parallel, meaning that you are reducing the time taken to get the product or finally delivered to the customer. But this one, you must go through sequential steps to be able to get the product delivered. One funny thing about business process is that if there is delays in the process, it makes the customer unhappy. Imagine you order for food, and then within 3 days, you receive the food within 3 days. How would you be? How would you feel? So one thing about these processes is that you try to reduce delays and also find a way to make the process easy to follow, easy to use. So now, this will take us to the relevance or importance of information systems in business processes. Like I said, all the processes that you guys described, you can model those processes. After model the processes, you then sit down and look at the process and see where there's bottleneck, where there's delays. And then you reason around whether information technology or a mobile app can be developed in order to solve that problem. So, or in order to reduce that bottleneck, in order to make things quite faster. So that is the relevance or the importance of information technology. Information. It is to enhance the process, to enhance the efficiency, and also make the process easy and faster. So now, one role of information system here is that the steps involved in the processes can be automated. So, like I said, you analyze every step and see whether this step, there is a problem, it takes a longer time to execute. Then you can automate that step in order to avoid delays. So lecture 5 is going to be on business process modeling, how we can analyze the processes and then model it using what we call BPMN2, Business Process Modeling Notation 2, by using a software we call Innovator. I've asked my teaching assistant to assist you. I think that next week I will take about 10 to 15 minutes to talk briefly about the Innovator, and then where you will get it and how you go about it in downloading it. So if you're having a problem, then I will now refer you to the teaching assistant, Andy, so that he will guide you and help you to get it installed. Unfortunately, the software we are going to use, Innovator, can only be used for Windows laptops, Windows. There are other tools. When we start that lecture, I will tell you there are other tools. But once you understand one of them, you can explore the other tools. We have Visio, we have Draw.io, we have Bizagi. There are so many of them. I like to use Innovator because Innovator has a lot of functionalities that many of the tools don't have. So once you get full grips of Innovator, you can do other modelings with others. You can do modelings with other softwares. I think that one of the component of this course that I get excited when I'm teaching it is process modeling, because I see it to be a takeaway. Given my background as a computer scientist, sometimes I prefer to delve into something practical. You know, so it's a takeaway that I think that is good for you. Now, so automating the processes, and sometimes too, you can also, that's one is automating the process, and then also enabling the entirely new process. So you can use this IT to create entirely new process. The old process can be analyzed, and then the bottlenecks automated. But you can also use information technology to create a whole new process that will make things easier and faster to the customer, which allows change of information flow. You can replace the sequential steps with parallel steps, just like the two examples, the diagram I showed you. One of them has a parallel, and the other one, they are sequential throughout. So sometimes you can make certain things parallel, so that two things will take place at the same time. In that case, you reduce the time. You know, sometimes with the manual process, there are certain things that to get it even through, you need to send it to your boss. And your boss can even take a hell of time just to append a signature on it. But with information technology, sometimes you don't even need a boss. Or you can do it in such a way that, you know, the boss or someone somewhere will just click on a button and everything, you know, goes through successfully. So we can use information technology to replace sequential steps with parallel steps. Then, of course, you can use it to also create entirely new business model. And we all know a business model. Nowadays, how people were actually selling their wigs and some other products. Information technology has come to change even the business model completely. Previously, people would just, you know, get a store, put their product there. Someone has to walk in there and then go and get a product. Information technology has completely changed some of these models. And the model is that people don't even put it in the shops, they just put it in their own rooms. And then all they do is that they advertise it on Instagram, Facebook, and other platforms. And people make the order through that. Then the order through Okada and some other means delivered to the person. So it is entirely a new model. So businesses are actually changing their models as a result of information systems or information technology. Now, the next step we are going to look at. So any question in respect of business process and then the use of information technology to enhance the processes. The next, we are going to look at types of information systems. So please, if you have questions, issues to raise, the floor is there. You may want to contribute, please. Like I said, I like it when you make your contribution in class. Can I go on? If there's no question, any contribution, any questions, somebody may have to say that I should go on, then I'll move on.
Yes, please go on.
Right. So now we are going to look at information systems types. So after looking at the types, then we look at the tools of information systems. So now the types. There are two main types of information systems. We have what we call transaction processing system. Then two, business intelligence systems. Now, under the business intelligence system, we have three of them. We have what we call management information system. Then we have what we call decision support system. And then finally, we have executive support system. So for now, we have transaction processing system, we have management information system, decision support system, and an executive support system. So in effect, these three. So let me say one. So these three are called business intelligence systems. Now we are going to take them one after the other. So please, attention. Okay. First of all, we take TPS. And TPS, transaction processing system. Now, TPS, what is it? TPS is a type of information system that is used purposely for day-to-day activities of any business organization, a business organization. So a TPS is a type of information system for day-to-day activities. TPS, day-to-day activities. TPS do not generate reports. It do not generate reports, and in TPS you don't make major decisions. And even the decisions, the minor decisions that can be taken at TPS, take advice from the top management level. Now, before I continue with the TPS, let me also explain that business organization, we can classify it under three levels. We have the operational level. This is where you have the tellers, personnel managers, and some few other people working at the security guys. They're all working at the operational level. Then we have the middle level. So the middle level is the middle management level. And then they also make certain decisions, basic decisions. Then you have the senior management level. So the senior management level. Now, TPS is used at the operational level. So here, TPS used at the operational level. Okay. Now, if you come here, middle management level also uses the MIS and then the DSS. Then the senior level uses the executive support systems. So now I'm still talking about the TPS, which is used only at the operational level. Now, let's say that you have a bank where people visit, and then a teller here or a cashier having day-to-day transaction with a customer. Now, the interface, the form that the teller or the cashier is operating is a TPS system. It's just like a sales manager at Melcom, a sales manager in a store somewhere in, let's say, Accra Mall, a sales manager. So this sales manager normally interact with the customers. So the customer may be buying something and then you key in the payment and everything into the system. And it goes into a database. Whatever he keys goes into a database here. This interface, that this system, that this teller, this sales personnel is using to have this day-to-day transaction with this customer is what we call transaction processing system. So it is used for day-to-day activities with customers and other stakeholders. So it is only used at the operational level. And a typical example is what I have given. If you go to Melcom right now, or you go to, let's say, what's the name, ShopRite, as soon as you take all the products that you want to buy, there is a salesperson, a cashier somewhere. You go, you put your product there, the cashier will look at the product, he will scan all those products. So the activities in terms of scanning and everything to the system, generating receipts, entering into the system and generating receipts, or that system constitute what we call the TPS. It's a transaction processing system used for day-to-day activities of the business. Any question in respect of the TPS before I move on to MIS? Any question? If we are
yeah. Yes, sir.
Are you sleeping?
No,
are you sleeping?
Please, I'm listening. No, please, I'm listening. Yes,
okay,
sir.
for me, I'm sleeping.
Oh,
we
no,
all know
sir,
that this time is always very early. No, I'm sleeping. Okay,
no.
so let me call Amwakwehene. How be?
I'm good. Yourself?
Yes, I'm okay. Do you want to say something?
Very well, sir. Thank you. Oh, so okay. I'm following the discussion. I think so far so good.
Let me call. Yes,
talking about
Umutara. Yes, yeah. Umutara, please, your hand is up. Can you talk? Unmute yourself and start, talking. Is it Becky, or how do you spell it? How do you pronounce this? Your hand is up. If you are muted, can you unmute yourself? Okay, I think she's off. Now that we are all clear with the TPS, and I know that we are all familiar with TPS, you go to the bank, the cashiers are using transaction processing system. You go to the shops, they are using it. Now, you see, after whatever they enter here goes into a database. So there's a place where all the data, day-to-day transaction and everything is, all the receipts and everything are pushed into this database. Now, the database here can also be accessed by a middle manager to generate what we call a report. So the middle manager will will explore the database with another interface, a different interface, which is different from the interface that the operational levels are using. So this interface, he goes here into the database, and the data that has already been collected using the TPS system goes into the DBase. So the middle manager also uses his own interface to go into this and assess the data that has already been collected. Now, what he does is to just generate a report. Well, the report could be that he wants to find out how much sales did you make or make in a day, or what products, how many products or what products were sold in a day, and then by generating some kind of a report of it. Then also, once the cashiers and everything, once the cashiers or tellers are done with their work, they need to also go and assess and analyze the documents. So the middle manager would generate some kind of reports. And then if there is inconsistency in terms of the money that the tellers received, and I know that the banks, especially the tellers and cashiers, they do that before they close. But it is only as a result of the middle manager generating that report and making sure that everything is fine. So generating the report from the data that has been collected is that interface or that system is what we call management information systems. What it means is that management information systems is characterized by one, report generation. And then also, it is also based on data from the TPS. So one, reports, and also it is based on the data generated from the TPS. And in management information system, middle management are the people who use that system. So middle managers. And then TPS also can be used to make certain decisions we call routine decisions. Routine decisions. Sorry, I mean management information systems. Now, this management information system on the same level, because this one is mostly used for generating reports and making some minor analysis. There is another one we call decision support system. As the name implies, you take more of the decision as a result of using a decision support system. So in many organizations, they always combine these two. Many of the systems, the decision support system and MIS are combined. Now, the same thing, the decision support system is also characterized by data from the TPS and also the reports that are generated with the MIS system. Decision support system can generate what we call visualization of the data. The data in a graphical form, create a dashboard for it. Then it is also used by the middle management. And it can also be used for routine decisions. However, it uses to generate visualization, yes, make routine decisions, and also it is based on TPS and then MIS. External data can also be used to support the decisions that DSS will also make. Some of the external data includes data from social media, data from competitors, apart from the data that is coming from the TPS and MIS. You also need data from social media, external data from social media, and also competitors in order to make certain routine decisions. So in effect, TPS, MIS, and DSS are actually used by the middle management. And the last one, which we call executive support system. As the name implies, it is also based on the data from TPS, MIS, DSS, and then external data, such as social media, and also data from the regulatory department or institute, or let's say, yes, institute or institutions. Then it is also with the ESS, it can be used to make what we call non-routine decisions. Non-routine decisions. And then it is used by only the senior management. And then one thing about it is that you can also use to generate some sort of visualization, but it is more used for prediction and then forecasting. You want to forecast the future of your business, whether in 3 months' time, the business will do well or not. So major decisions or non-routine decisions are taken by the executive support system. Now the floor is open, and then if you have questions, you have contribution, you can go ahead. If you have a question and someone in the class who really understood what I've just explained can also handle the question for me. Bakwesi.
So please, my question is, I'd like to find out this. Yes, please, can you hear me?
Your network is bad, Bakwesi.
Can I be heard?
It's bad. I can't hear you well. Hello, Bakwesi.
Hello.
Please, can someone confirm, is it that I'm the one having network issues or Bakwesi is having network issues?
Hello, please, can I be heard?
I think it's Bakwesi.
It's Bakwesi. Okay, Bakwesi, your network is bad, so we cannot hear you well. Let me take another person. Later on, when your network is stable, I can hear you. Yes, but we cannot hear you, Bakwesi. So let me give the chance to Bennett. Bennett, can you, take the floor and then ask your question or make your contribution?
Yeah, hello, sir. I have a concern. You know, this information system. Is there a possibility where let's say, for instance, the transaction processing system? Oh, Bakwesi.
No, Bakwesi, your network is bad. So you wait. Later, Bennett is on the floor right now. We cannot hear you, Bakwesi. Bennett, go ahead.
Yeah, so my issue is there a possibility of manipulation of data? For instance, let's say if I am at the TPS level and
yes,
my manager can access my information without my consent, that's what I believe. Can he or she manipulate my data? That's what I want to find out. Is that possible?
Okay, so you see, we have something we call information, or let's say protection of information assets. And then protection of information assets falls under what we call information security. And then in organization, with information security, we put a lot of measures to check the responsibilities of everyone. So one thing about information security has to do with the protection of the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data. So the data must be confidential only to a certain people. And to even access the data, there is a system log that checks who entered into the system, who did these manipulations and all that. So yes, all the cashiers, they have people they report to. Because they report to someone, the person also has access to the data. But the issue is that the person can only generate a report. The management can only generate a report, but they cannot actually, or they will not. It depends on how the system is developed. But in most cases, for security reasons, they shouldn't have the chance to be able to make any manipulations there. And if they do, the system has a log tracking every activities, every changes that has been done in the system. So in future, if there's a problem, all you need to do is to do forensic investigation. And you come to realize that whoever manipulated the system will be caught. In information system security, we have certain characteristics. One of them is called accountability. IT systems are developed in such a way that everyone is responsible for accounting for everything at all he does with the system. So it is not as easy as that you can manipulate the system or you can make changes to the data that might in the long run go against the cashier. No, it's not, it's difficult. I don't know whether I've answered or responded to you.
Okay, yes. Thank you. Yes, you have. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes. So, like you rightly said, we need to put in some measures to check those who have access to the system. You spoke about the system log. The system log, you know, we have those who came up with the system. Does the that aspect of it that is sit independently from the person, right?
Say, can you repeat it again? That part, the last part.
If the one who created the system,
has
access to the system log file, won't the person be able to do something fishy? Do they separate that?
Okay, so yeah, in the IT, we also have what we call ethics, computing ethics, information, or let's say software engineer, we have some ethics. So if you are the developer, you need to also abide by some ethical principles. So once you develop the software, you don't make yourself, you don't create credentials for yourself in a way that you can access their data. Everything should be given to the organization without you having access to their data. You can only have access, you can only create a channel where, in case there's a technical problem, you can help solve or maintain their system for them. So there is, some kind of ethics around it. Well, when we are doing information system security, we'll be doing information system security. When we are doing information system security, there's something we call backdoor. And then I'll talk more about this. We cannot do this without talking about security. It's a whole lecture, which I believe that when we get there, some of you will have a lot of concerns and security issues or questions to ask. So with a backdoor, a developer who actually do not follow standards in terms of ethics and others can actually develop the system and create a backdoor to the system. So when you create a backdoor, meaning that you can use the backdoor without you being tracked and then go and do certain manipulations and all that. But like I said, it's, logs, because he created it, he can bypass, he used the backdoor and bypass the lock and then go and do whatever he wants to do. But with ethical principles, that is why when you want someone to develop a system for you, you need to go for a recognized software development company that has all the license, that has certain standards and process improvement standards that they follow, so that they will do it for you. In case of such, you can take them on easily. That is why many and the bigger organizations prefer to go for a more structured, software development company to do some of these things for them. So, my brother, we shall talk more about this information system security, including what we call social engineering, which is common in our context. Okay, so Parkwesi is saying that, please, my question, is the clock in and clock out system a TPS or MIS system? Okay, so you see the clock out, clock in is actually a different system. It's not really part of the organizational system. That one is a different system. It's an enterprise application, and I'll talk about it as we move on. It is not part of the core, system of the organization. It's just an enterprise system. You go into you go to work, you clock in. When you're going out, you clock out. It's a different package altogether. Gloria.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
To add up to what you said on my mate asking if someone can change your work and then implicate you. You see, in the banking sector, like the tellering, everybody has an ID. So whatever you do, your ID is attached. So if a manager should change whatever you have done, his or her ID will be attached, and so it will be seen.
That's the system. That's what we call the law. Yes, good. That's the law. So, for instance, University of Ghana, after we finish marking all your scripts and everything, we go into the MIS system and then enter your grades. So I can go there with my own credentials, log in. Once I log in, the system will keep track of me, my name, the day I logged into the system, what I did, everything, the log system will track it. So whatever changes I make on that day is recorded in the log. It's just like a book. It will record everything automatically. Now, and if someone, for whatever reason, use my credentials to access the system or uses credentials, or maybe an administrator somewhere, yes, is able to go at the back end and go and make changes to the results. When there's a problem and then investigation is instituted, the person who went in there to change the system, to change the grade, will be found. That's why we have the digital forensics. Yes. So I have explained the TPS. Let me take one last question. I will take. Let me take Ellen. Alan.
Oh, Terry is here.
So. Terry. Okay.
Yes,
after this, Terry, you take it. Let Alan take the floor. Then after him, then you
okay,
take
sir.
the floor. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So I wanted to ask if we can agree that among all the processing systems, okay, is TPS, can we consider TPS as the central to the business, the central part of every business? Because from where I stand,
say that is the gateway. Let's rather say it's the gateway to data entry.
Okay.
So let's say it's the gateway, because it's used at the operational level and everything. So if the data that is entered from the TPS is wrong, or the decision up there will also be wrong. So it is mostly, the DSS, the MIS, and the ESS based on the TPS data to take major decisions. So let's rather say that is the gateway. So if you look at the screen right now, the image I put in there, you see we have maybe there could be tellers. Of course, if you go to embassies, maybe you go to the UK embassy or other embassies, you have all those people sitting there where you present your passport and everything, then they enter into the system. And the system they're using, they're all TPS. They are just gateway to data collection. But as soon as they enter those data, then of course at the back end, but those who work at the TPS level, usually they are actually, they are not allowed to take certain decisions. They are not actually allowed to take major decisions about the organization. All they do, they can only direct and say that, oh, you can do this, go and fill this. Of course, the rules are there. If the person is presenting a check and he did not sign at the back, he will tell the person, go and then sign at the back. So those minor, directions, they can do that. But when it comes to a major decision, those tellers, mostly, they are not allowed to take those major decisions. That is why sometimes you go and present your issue or your problem. Then the teller will tell you that, please wait. Meaning that he goes to his boss, and the boss is at the middle management level. Because the boss has access to the MIS system where he's able to go at the back end and see whatever is there, whatever information that is needed to help make that decision. And the kind of decision they make, we call it routine decision, because it's more or less daily and all the time. It can be, the whole day he'll be making decisions, and then at the end of the day, he can take a decision. All the tellers will now put their things together. They will compare what they have received and then what is in the system, whether it balances. If it doesn't balance, that is where you come in and then whatever. I know there are people here who works as tellers and then maybe as sales representative. they may want to share more perspective. I remember with the first class I had, there was a lady who, said she's a teller, and she actually narrated what happens after they work, with their immediate boss and all that. And it was so nice. So I know that Akosia are there want to also share such perspective to us. Akosia.
Okay. Oh, okay. As a teller, when you finish everything, when you finish your work, you have to make sure you balance and send the report to your operations manager.
Yes.
So your operation manager will also look through and make sure your work and everything has balance. Then if you not balance your day-to-day activities, you have to make sure you pay.
You pay?
Yes.
From where?
The difference.
Your own money.
Your own money. Hey.
Yes, your own money. You have to.
And they demand enough from sir. Oh, I see.
Yes. Or they have to give you a loan for you to pay for it.
Wow. Yes. I see. Okay, so okay, good. Thank you very much. So I predicted well, Akusia, that you are a teller. So I predicted well.
I used to be a teller, but no more a teller.
You are now a big okay. And I'm sure that after the MBA, you are now going to hold a senior management position.
Amen.
You will not say amen.
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 Terry, take the floor, Terry.
Okay, sir. So I also want to talk about the TPS.
Yes.
I think during the development of information systems,
yes,
it comes with, for what I know, it comes with modules.
Okay.
Or either modules or modules. So
yes.
The tellers, for instance, for security reasons, they are privy to a particular module and they cannot go beyond that.
Very
so
good. Yes, privileges.
Yes, they operate within their jurisdiction. Anything beyond them, then they have to seek approval from their bosses or whatever before they can even.
Very good.
And then they give on the addition.
Very good,
I also
Terry.
want to speak on the time management system.
Okay.
The time management system. But you made mention of a time management system is not directly a processing system, or that directly TPS.
I said it's not directly linked to the enterprise application system.
Okay, so
it's not directly linked to it.
Okay.
Yes. Can you? Yes. Do you want to say something? It depends, of course. Things can change, but yes.
Yeah. EPR. That's Enterprise Resource Planning Management. It's one of the.
Yes, I'll talk about it today. Mm-hmm. I'll talk about it today. So I know that's the yes. We call it system enterprise system applications. Yes.
Very, very good. And it's have within that system payroll management system.
Okay.
Now, time attendance management system has been fused or embedded into payroll management system, whereby you don't need to go to the payroll management to go and get the data before you come and upload it in the management and run it. But you can be behind, or you can operate your payroll management system, whereby you can pull this data from the time and attendance management system. And then quickly, because it is integrated and they have all those features, it comes and then just gets the results out without any calculations and all that. Because
all right, Terry. Yes, thank you very much. So Terry, I don't want to jump, but when I get there, you understand what I mean by it is not part of the enterprise system. We call it enterprise system, which we have the enterprise resource planning system mostly, but it is part of what we call enterprise application. With enterprise application, the enterprise system is mostly a software that actually captures the functional areas within the organization. But however, we have others, for instance, supply chain management system, customer relation management system, a knowledge management system, and of course, you can add a timer, whatever. So when you add all these, including the enterprise system, then we are talking about enterprise applications. So what I mean by it is not directly linked to the, I mean the enterprise system. We shall look at that one as we move anyway.
Okay, sir. Okay,
right.
Thank you
very much for your contribution. I appreciate it a lot. And I think I like it that way, when you guys are contributing and then I think that, Terry has made a valid, he has given a lot of explanation regarding the TPS. Okay, any other? Can we move on? So let me check. I think that in the chat box, somebody has actually put something there. Okay, so Esther is saying that the MIS generates report based on data from TPS. How viable or true will those data be? Does anyone supervise their work? Please, this question is open to the class. Anyone at all, based on his understanding of this I give, please can respond. I want class to be more interactive. So can anyone at all can respond to Esther's question? Anyone at all?
Hello, sir.
Terry, do you want to respond? Hello.
The question again, I quickly put on my AC on. So
go to your chat. The question there. Go to your chat. The question is there. We are looking at the what Esther is saying, that the MIS generates reports based on the data from the TPS. She's right. How viable or true will those data be? Does anyone supervise their work? Experience the system. Okay, so then let me Patrick, do you want to respond, Patrick?
Yes, Doc. So
yes,
normally,
go ahead.
Let's say if we take a bank, we have MIS staff. They are responsible for pulling the data and converting it into maybe reports or graphs that management can use for decision making. And for the most part, the data they present is accurate. But there are times where they also make mistakes because they are human beings. So normally there is supposed to be supervisors who would verify, or if the data gets presented back to you who did the original inputting at the transaction processing stage, you can query the reports they have issued for it to be re-verified. Then outside that, in terms of tempering, there is always access rights, which limits what somebody can do with the data. So some people can actually change the data. Some people too, all they can do is just pull the data and work with it.
He's saying that. Okay, maybe somebody they want to add something to Patrick. Yes. Yes, Terry, go ahead.
So what they consider a lot of things, and sometimes what you think, like the question Esther asked, for instance, the developers probably they think ahead and they factor all those things, and then whatever they present for you, or the system that they present for you that you should work with, like they used to say, garbage in, garbage out. They are made in such a way that you don't have that privilege, you don't have that much space to do things that you want. And some of the inputs that you put into the system, it doesn't correspond with how the system are being programmed, it will reject it. And the system also serves as a check for you. So to make sure that you also put in the right thing. So when we're looking about how viable, how true it is, I think the information come there is very true. Hardly wait for you to, get any lapses. Yeah, that's my contribution, sir.
Very good. Yes. So what you spoke about usually, is referential integrity. You have to put in some integrity or some rules within the system to check some of these things. Okay, so let me also, Selena, do you want to say something?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so with regards to Esther's question, I wanted to use a practical example in the bank.
Okay,
so
good.
Where we start, we believe the relationship with the bank starts from the customer service area where the account is opened. So whatever rights is given to the consultant or the customer service person is limited, like the gentleman who spoke a few minutes ago said. And then with the account opening, whatever you are putting in, you are limited. If it's a phone number and you put alphabets there, it won't go through. If it's an email,
yes,
and then you put in any email that is not correct, it will not go through. And then whatever you put in the system, you are limited to just an inputter. You're supposed to submit it to your head of operations or your supervisor to authorize it. Because we believe whatever information you put in during the account opening is what we are going to use when this same customer comes for a loan. This customer needs a facility from the bank. So from the beginning, even though you have some rights, you are being checked from the beginning of the relationship.
Very good. Good, very good. So from the development perspective, we have something called referential integrity. Rules, you set rules. And an example of it is where you said maybe a particular field which is dedicated for email that you want to enter something different. The system will not allow that. And I think that Terry spoke about it and you have also hinted on that. And then another one is the privilege. So the credential that is given to you, you are only entitled to certain space. So you can't do any other thing. So you're only limited to a certain space where you work. Okay, so now the next question is that someone is saying that I have realized that whenever I visit the banking hall at the peak periods to make payments, the internet becomes slow and causes delays. Is it a cause of TPS or MIS or ESS? So someone is asking this question, and traffic. The same way, I open the traffic. I open the floor, but of course, Georgia, can you take the floor?
I think it's non-TPS, MIS, but it's only the internet.
It's the internet issue, traffic. Good. That is a valid response. So normally it's just the traffic in the network that causes that delay. Okay. Patrick, your hand is still up. Do you want to say something? Okay. Now let's move on. So,
hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
I also want to
Miss Batali, go ahead.
It's not Batali, it's Buki.
It's what?
It's Buki. I want to also contribute.
Okay, Buki, yes.
Sir, mostly I also use something similar in my office called Sage.
Okay.
It has a process, and the process starts from what you spoke about, the TPS.
Yes.
And it moves on to the executive where the executive is able to check and see if all the information needed for each month is being recorded.
Okay.
And I also wanted to say that mostly with most of what we enter, there are, for instance, auditors who comes around to verify everything we do. So for errors and mistakes, it do happens, but there are people there to also verify everything you input. So it's a system where there are like 3 or 4 people verify or check what
check and balances
does.
Okay. Yes. So this is okay. Thank you very much. So this actually exemplifies everything that we have spoken today. So the TPS here, these are different levels, and then the data goes into a database. You have a data mart here. So whatever transaction, day-to-day transaction that goes into a data mart, or let's say database. And of course, MIS can be generated in the form of reports, and also DSS, or let's say you can also visualize it in the dashboard and all that. Then this is like an example of a report. This is an example of a report, sample reports. So maybe daily you may generate this report, product code, product description, sales region, actual sales plan, this is an example of a report which happens at the MIS level. Oh, why is this is not moving? Sorry, I think my system is a bit okay. Right. So the decision support system, yes, also serve the middle. I've explained that for non-routine decisions. This is just 2 examples of a decision support system model-driven voyage DSS and the data-driven. You don't need to worry about that one. And this. Then is the executive support system, for mostly for, if you remember, I made mention that it is for the senior management. It's used for non-routine decisions, meaning that it's not day-to-day decisions. Sometimes within a month, you can make it monthly, analysis and then make a decision. It incorporates data about external events, including tax laws and competitors, and then also data from the MIS and the DSS. Digital dashboard. This is an example of a dashboard. You can use Power BI or Tableau to generate. So, real-time view of financial performance. You may want to see the working capital, the account receivable, account payable, cash flow, and inventory. All can be displayed on the screen here for the executive support system. Now we move on to the enterprise application. Enterprise applications. When they say enterprise applications, what does it mean? So at the moment, I think our time is almost 5:30. I'm giving 10 minutes break. Please go for break, and let's come back at 5:40. Okay with that, then we continue from here. I know that, whenever I have this lecture on face-to-face, many students get tired because they have other lectures in the morning. So usually I give them break, and I'm also assuming that you are also tired. So please, let's take 10 minutes break and come back and continue. Okay with that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
So we come back for recording. All right, so we are looking at the enterprise applications, and the same way, let me go here and explain enterprise applications here. You see, when they say enterprise, we all know that a business or a business organization is an enterprise. University of Ghana is an enterprise and all that. Now, any software that is used within the enterprise is called an enterprise. Any software information system, let me use the word information system, enterprise application. Now, typically, there are 4 or 5 major enterprise applications. We have what do you call it? System, enterprise system. Hello, yes.
Microsoft Navision.
Say it again.
Microsoft Navision.
Microsoft
Navision.
In addition. Yeah, you know that the Microsoft. Can you type it? Yeah. You know, Microsoft, SAP, and all that, they are all brands, and they also produce some kind of softwares. But we are looking at the core, and then later on, we look at the tools as well. So we have the enterprise system. Okay, are you typing? Okay, we have the enterprise system. And then with the enterprise system, we also have what we call customer relation management system. Typically, then you also have maybe supply chain management system. And then you may also want to add knowledge management system. Of course, if you look at enterprise management system, for instance, yes, Microsoft, they have enterprise system. Microsoft also developed customer relation management system and SAP as well. So those are more or less the companies or the brands or the companies that develop this kind of software. But we are looking at the core aspect of it. What is it? So now,
okay, so the Microsoft one is the Dynamics.
Say it again.
Microsoft Dynamics.
You mean Microsoft Dynamics?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. When you mention Google, Microsoft, SAP, they are companies that produce this kind of softwares. So we are looking at the software from the core. Then, of course, I mean, along the line, we can talk about the companies or the firms that produce these softwares. We have SAP that produce enterprise systems. We have Microsoft that also produce enterprise systems. And of course, as we said, Microsoft Dynamics or whatever. Maybe Microsoft Dynamics has a purpose. All right, so let's move on later on. So enterprise systems, customer relation management system, supply management system, and also knowledge management system. Now, this enterprise system, that is what we also refer to as enterprise ERP, enterprise resource planning system. So what then is enterprise resource planning system? You see, I made mention that when let's say you have organization A, the organization has a lot of functional areas or functional units, human resource, accounting, let's say marketing, and then marketing and sales. And let's say, hello, you say?
Production.
Very good, production. So these are functional units. Now, in those times, we used to have what we call file system. This organization could develop a software, only a human resource management software here, which has its own database. Account has accounting software, its own database. Marketing and sales also its own software and the database, and the production also its own software and then a database. Now, you realize that at this stage, the databases are not centralized. And it brought about a problem of data redundancy and data inconsistency. So this led to a system where you develop a common database and then have these areas, software for the human resource management system, software for human resource, software for marketing, software for other functional areas, all connected to a common database, but they are all integrated as one system. And that's what I mean by enterprise resource planning system. So enterprise resource planning system is an integration of other systems. An integration of other systems. And of course, we know that the part that is serving marketing has a common purpose, and you have a privilege in assessing that. So it's an integrated system serving all that. But this time it is across the functional areas in the organization. And this is what we also mean by the system, enterprise systems. So enterprise system, which is the enterprise resource planning system, is within, it's a system, integrated system that is serving all the functional areas in organization. That's the enterprise systems. Now, I made mention that we also have customer relation management system. Customer relation management system is also connected somehow to the enterprise system, but it's also connected to the external entities, like the customer. A system that the customer can also access in order to create that kind of intimacy between you and the customer. Then we also have a supply management system, also connected somehow to the enterprise system, but also to the external entity like the suppliers and all that. So when you put all these together, all these softwares, all these systems, that we call the enterprise applications. However, enterprise systems, which is the ERP system, it is only within the organization. So yes, SAP has one. SAP, that's why, Terry was, is it Terry? I might get your name. Was it Terry? What's the name? It was mentioned of Microsoft. Yes, Terry. So yes, somebody wrote SAP. Yes, SAP has ERP system, and many organizations, even the banks in Ghana here, have adopted SAP. Outsourced SAP system. That's enterprise system or ERP system. Microsoft also has an ERP system. I think that in the rest of Ghana, we are using Microsoft ERP system. Then you have other, but
so, sir,
these
that is the Microsoft Dynamics.
Microsoft Dynamics. Okay, good. Yeah. Very good. Yes. So now, and then of course, you may want to share other ERP systems. So SAP, which is common. I think SAP is very common than Microsoft, Dynamics.
Yeah, SAP is common.
And then,
Microsoft Dynamics is very expensive.
Very expensive, yes. So the cost is also, yes, a factor. Good. So now, so with the ERP, well, I don't know how, when I came here, when did I come here to write all this? Let me quickly erase this. And then,
my question led you to this place.
Yeah, I remember. Okay. So now this enterprise application. So even though the login and the logout system may be integrated as part of the enterprise or the ERP system, but technically it is part of the enterprise application. I'm trying to get my pencil back. My pencil, let me take black. Okay. Yes. So if you look at these colors, this is a functional area, sales and marketing, manufacturing and production, finance, accounting, and the human resource. So if you remember, we've done business processes. So processes, you can have a cross-functional processes. And then within the core functional areas, we have the enterprise system. And then this enterprise system, yes, you have customer relation management system, also linking to customers, and a supply chain management system linking to suppliers, and then knowledge management system is within, even though it's logically linked to the enterprise system, but it's a different system altogether. So the same way we can have the login logout system also linked to that. So you have the login logout system, the customer relation management system, the knowledge management system, the supply chain management system, and then enterprise resource planning system. All of them constitute what we call enterprise application. So when you add architecture, then all these, sometimes you may even be contracted to design or to develop an architecture, enterprise application architecture for an organization. You have to take into account all the external entities and then within as well. So technically, though that is 7 the core functional areas, the software that is 7 the core functional areas is the ERP system. But of course, other systems like this one can be linked to the ERP, but this one is 7 the external, and that is also linked to the ERP, also 7 the external. Okay. Now, yes, enterprise system, I've explained that, collects data from different firms. So it's just it's just one system, but you know, serves different functional areas. So if you work in a market, the same software, all right. But if you work in a, let's see, a marketing, or let's see.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Who? Levy. Costa.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes. Go ahead.
If I get what you're saying about the enterprise system, doesn't mean that it's only used to satisfy the needs of an organization. It's like any software that satisfies the needs of that company or organization.
Okay, let me, yes. Well, I would say yes, and then I have to add more details to it. You see, I don't know where you work. Let's assume that where you are currently working, you have the marketing department, you have the human resource department, and let's say you have the IT department. Let's assume that these are the 3 functional areas in the department you are working. Now, I keep saying that information technology has come to stay, and the organization is interested in actually automating all its processes. So meaning that you need a software for the human resource management, right? You need a software to manage the IT part, or you need a software for the marketing. So the marketing, you may even have the skills and what have you also in the marketing department. Now, the issue is that should your company go and acquire a human resource management software separately, and also go for marketing software separately, and go for an IT software separately? What it means is that if you do that, meaning you have a database, a different system with a database for HR, a different system with a database for IT, and a different system with a database for marketing. In this case, there is something we call data redundancy and data inconsistency. What it means is that if, let's say, the human resource, you recruit someone, and the person says that his date of birth is 1961, you archive it in the system. Now, in the marketing department, this person that you have recruited, he has some certain things to do in the marketing department. What it means is that his record that you need, meaning you have to manually transfer the record to marketing. Maybe in future, he comes to say that he made a mistake, and then his date of birth is not 61, it's rather 71. What are you going to do? Are you going to change it here in the database here? When you finish, you go here and also change it. And if you have about 10 functional areas, meaning that you have to go to all the functional areas to change it, because you don't have a common system. Now, what ERP here sought to do is that instead of having different softwares for different functional areas, let us create a common system, just one system with one database. And this one system, it has the human resource part in it, it has the IT part in it, and it has the marketing part in it. And they're all using a common database, meaning that if the human resource department on their interface, they make changes to the 1971, it is within the central database and it reflects automatic in all other functional areas. So now businesses, those times, many businesses were going for silos, softwares in silos, different software that works in silos. By this time, no organization do that. All the banks, the organizations that you see, they go for enterprise resource planning system, a common system, an integrated system that has all the interface from marketing, human resources combined together as one software. So that if you want to use the human resource management system part, you create a credentials for those working in that area. And whenever they access with their credentials, they only have access to the human resource part of the software. And the same applies to marketing and then other places. So now, like I said, IT is evolving and many organizations are innovating. So I don't think a serious company would go and acquire different softwares for different functional areas when we have enterprise resource planning system. That is one system, well integrated, that serves all the various functional areas. I don't know whether you get me, Kosa. Okay, I'll take Bismarck, then Terry will come in here. Bismarck.
A question, please.
Yes.
Assuming an accounting department has a software that they work with, and
yes.
the organization wants to buy an operating software, and they'll be able to integrate the two softwares. Does that qualify as ERP?
No, once the existing software, let's say the accounting, they have existing software, and then they go for another software. Of course, that software usually it comes with maybe it may come with the accounting parts, which may even be serving a better purpose. But maybe to you, you feel like you have an existing one, you want to maintain the existing one at the accounting part. You go to you go for the ERP system, and then of course they can logically link this one, just APIs, and link this system to the ERP, the enterprise resource planning system that you have gone for. And of course, it's still ERP system. The ERP is just an integrated system that serves various functional departments. Just one software instead of going for separate software. Terry.
Thank you.
Okay, so sir.
Yes, take the floor, Terry.
Yes, per the ERP models that you have presented, you could see the normal ERP doesn't have automated time and attendance data fused into it that it can get correct. I don't think we see something like that. So that's what I said that now the time and attendance management system can be linked up into the ERP system, can be integrated into the ERP system. So at the end of the month, the HR just click a button and then pull up those data, upload those data, and then use it to get those. To do salary.
Okay, good. So it's just a matter of writing some APIs to link them up. Okay, thank you, Terry. I don't know who asked the question.
It's me.
Kosa. Yes, Kosa. Yeah, so Kosa, if you are not clear, please, you can still,
I think I'm okay for now.
Okay. So let me call Kafi. Kafi.
Yeah, sir. So I wanted to ask a follow-up question. There are various units within an organization, and they are all playing different functions. So let's say marketing probably has certain niche softwares it uses, which HR would not find useful, or accounting, they have particular accounting tools that marketing will never use. Is there like an ERP system that would bring all together? Because I'm trying to use probably where I work as a case study. Yes.
Yeah, I understand. What I'm trying to say is that with the ERP system, if you look at SAP, for instance, they have developed a complete software basically for accounting management and all that. They have a complete software for sales and marketing. All what they have done is that they have integrated them together as one. Meaning, if you are here, you are working in this department, and you are given a credentials like username and password. When you log into the system from the accounting, you can access only the accounting part of it, and it will do whatever. And I remember Kosa asked whether it depends, is the requirement, or let's say, I mean, you ask something around whether, the taste or the requirement of the organization. Yes. So, of course, you want an accounting software. And then the software is serving a common purpose. You analyze it. It does all the trading profit and loss account. It does your balance sheet and everything that an organization needs. And sometimes even with them, you can even go to them to do more customization. If there are things you want them to add, they will add it. So this interface or this component will put everything about accounting, whatever you need, the requirement and everything to serve you well. When you go to marketing, this person, when he logs in with his credential, username and password from the marketing department, he can only access the marketing component of the software. He cannot access the accounting aspect. He cannot access the IT aspect. So they are more or less like a different softwares, but logically connected together as one single software. So, for instance, I'm currently building a software for UGBS. It's a claim management system. So what I'm doing is that we have lecturers in page, privilege for lecturers, privilege for school course coordinator, and then a privilege for the dean, then a privilege also for the school administrator. Now, so the system, I'm using a central database, but the credential, what I'm doing, the database, I'm creating the database in such a way that I give a unique credentials for those who are from the, let's say from SC, from Dean, from here and from there. So whenever you are given the credentials to access the system, you only have access to the coordinators page. So you can do everything at the coordinators page. You cannot access the page, dedicated for the school administrator. You cannot access the page dedicated for the dean. You cannot access the page dedicated for lecturers, but they are all within a common database. And of course, different tables serving different, functional areas. This is an example of an integrated system, an example of an ERP system. So note that if you are here in the marketing department, you can easily access the page or the data. Let me take this one. The page or the data from the, let's say, IT department. No, you are only, but the only thing is that enterprise resource planning system is just an integrated system serving various functional areas within the organization. So if, let's say, your organization is having a unique software and they are using with a database, let's say accounting, another department is also having sales and marketing software, and they have their database. You go, so when it is like that, we call it file management system. The whole enterprise is actually disintegrated. In that case, monitoring the system somehow is problematic. It brings about data redundancy. It's an example I gave about, let's say, let's assume University of Ghana system, for instance, the system we are using. A student comes in from first year. The dean of students has listed a database for all the students with the students, a database for the students. Then you go to the human resource management office, and they also have a different database. So what it means is that if the student's date of birth is wrong at the dean of student office, and they correct it in the system, meaning that it will not automatically take effect in the human resource management system, because the human resource management system will still have a wrong data there. So to solve this problem is where you create a common database, a common integrated system using a common database. In this case, once the changes is made at the dean of student office, automatically cascaded throughout other sections. So when you want to access student record, you access the right data, the corrected data. Somebody is saying that currently I have observed hospitals, telcos, and manufacturing organizations are all employ ERP, which encompasses all functional areas. Good. I think you can organize a simulation exercise with one of the ERPs. Okay. Someone is saying that it's Sakai, an ERP system. Yeah, Sakai is part of the system, the whole system that the University of Ghana outsourced. So is actually at the academic aspect. So the same system that we have outsourced the human resource people are also using the same software, but they are using their parts. So the academic aspect is where we have the Sakai, we have what do you call it, the MIS, where we enter student grades and all that. So we also have our own interface, but your privileges would determine where you can access. And then Georgia is saying that please, we will need this teaching PDF after class. Yes, of course, I'll send it to you as soon as the class is done. I think I've sent it. Let me see. Haven't I? I sent the slides to you on WhatsApp. Please, is it this is group 3, right?
Group 2.
Group 2.
Group 5. Okay, I haven't sent it to group 2 yet. Okay.
No.
Group 2.
Okay, so I've sent it to group 2 right now on your WhatsApp page. Okay, good. So please, are we okay? Are we good? Can we move on? Terry, do you still want to contribute or say something?
Sir.
I'm okay. Thank you.
Your hand is up, Terry. Yes.
I'm okay, sir.
Okay, so okay, Justice, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask, can the EcoBank Omni app be seen as an ERP?
Can what?
EcoBank Omni Plus.
It's possible it's an ERP system. I don't know the system you are using. Let me check the name again. Can you what's the name again? EcoBank. Can you mention the name?
EcoBank Omni Plus.
Omni Plus. Okay. Yes, I think because those organizations obviously will go for ERP system. Go for an ERP system.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because nowadays it is not even economically wise to go for a separate system for different functional areas. No, it's not at all. And then I think was the last 2 years or 3 years or 4 years when we had this issue with the SNIT OBS software. SNIT OBS software, for instance, it's an ERP system. It's an integrated system serving all the functional areas within SNIT. Okay. So now people would rather prefer to go for an integrated system rather than what do you call it? Different softwares. Yeah, so supply chain management, like I said, is part of an application, enterprise application systems. It's used to manage relationship with suppliers in terms of orders, production, and all that. Then you have the customer relation management system for sales, marketing, and also managing the relationship between you and your customers. Then you have the knowledge management system. I used to support, capturing and applying knowledge and expertise in the organization. So if there is, you have a product, and the product is A, so the processes in going through to come up with a product, it is archived and kept in such system. Or let's say it is maybe pharmaceutical kind of industry. So the formula, maybe the chemical formula in developing a particular drug, just like this COVID period, the pharmaceutical company, the formulas they use in developing this Moderna and all that, it is knowledge, the process is just knowledge. So you need to archive it and all that. So usually we have a software for such, and also, knowledge on how to create the COVID, vaccines, how to produce it, and how to even deliver it and all that. You have a system that you use to archive all that. And then, this knowledge, sometimes we have tacit knowledge, and then is it explicit knowledge. With a tacit one, sometimes it's difficult to archive because unless, of course, the person is willing to give everything to you. There are some people, they are the only people who has that knowledge. It's not explicit. It's not something you can easily write it down. And then, but if they're willing to strategically put it down, the organization can archive it. That is why programmers, computer programmers and developers, they hold a certain kind of tacit knowledge. And then because of the kind of knowledge they hold, they are more of this term, authoritative, the whole kind of authoritative knowledge in organization. So he's the only one who can do something and do it well. And because he's the only one who can do something and do it well, he uses authoritative knowledge to push the organization to keep on increasing salary and all that. Okay. So now we look at how teams and collaborations can also be managed. Apart from these softwares and all that, we have others, something like intranets and extranets. These are websites for internal, communications. So internal company website accessible only by employees. So you have a common website within the organization. So only the employees that are on it, and you can share some ideas, new things. You share it. It's just for the internal arrangement. But if you want to get your customers and other stakeholders involved, then we now talk about extranet. So it's also a company website accessible externally only to vendors and suppliers. I don't know, well, since you guys most of you are working, is it common in Ghana, with extranet? I think Microsoft, they have a platform called Yammer. Yammer is, it depending on how you want to do it. It can be intranet, where the organization employees are able to use it to communicate. If someone wins a grant, you share it there. So just internal discussions and all that. So do we have intranet and extranet kind of what do you call it, applications in Ghana? Can someone share? Do you have a common website only for the internal, other than social media platforms? Kafui.
Okay. What I've realized is that most of the companies now opt for like productivity tools for the intranet. So, for instance, where I work, we use Slack. We have a Slack page where
Slack. Yes,
I don't know whether I would qualify it as intranet, but it's only for staff. So outsiders can't join. Yes, that's what I would say.
Well, Slack. Well, you can. Of course, we can classify Slack as some, but usually Slack is mostly for. Slack also works like, Google Forms and then I said Google platforms and all that. You can of course interact there as well. But this one is a deliberate website designed by the organization just for the employees to communicate. Let me, Terry, is your hand up or is the old one? If the old one, you put it down. Okay, so let me call Selena.
Okay, yes. So for our bank, we use both the intranet and then the extranet. So we use Yammer to communicate within the bank to send any information that our marketing department wants to send across. And then I would, one of our sites, which is the internet banking, that is the extranet for our customers to be able to view our products, share their suggestions. If they want to do anything regarding the bank, they use the internet banking. So that's an example of the extranet.
Very good. All right. So Georgia, yes.
Please, our company is logistic company. I'm thinking whether we can have a like a system where we can give the feedback to the clients where the truck has got to and all those things.
Okay. Okay, so tracking system. All right, so any other, okay, so let me take Patrick.
My organization, what we have is we have a platform called The Bridge, which basically hosts information from across the group. So all Standard Chartered countries across the world have individual pages over the country pages over there. And there's a general page where like the CEO and the top level management also send information. So the extranet in this case is the portal for all the countries across the group. Then you have the internal country group also. And internally, we also use a mix of Skype and Outlook for internal communication.
Yes, so nowadays, social media platforms is even becoming more predominant than the intranet and extranet, because you can use WhatsApp. Many organizations, they create WhatsApp page, and similar discussion goes on there. So things are changing and things are actually evolving. Now, the next, we look at e-business and then e-commerce. What's the difference between the two? What's the difference between e-business and e-commerce? Georgia, your hand is up. Do you want to give the difference between e-business and e-commerce? Okay, so Prince. Prince, it looks like you are okay. We cannot hear you. Prince, please, can you? Prince, are you there? Prince Kweku. Okay, I think maybe Prince is having network issues because we cannot hear you. Yes, Prince, go ahead.
So I want to try. Let me see what.
Okay. So no, I think is it Levy? No, is it Kosa? Let me rather call Alan.
Yeah.
After Alan, then you can talk because I cannot hear Prince. Alan.
All right.
But I know that many of you are in the other sectors. I try to use bank mostly as an example, but I know some of you in other sectors, in the health sectors, nurses, people also from the public sector, and then different sectors. So I also expect you to link some of these discussions to your organization, and then we see how things also goes in there. Alan. I cannot hear Alan. Okay, then let me give the chance to Levy, since Levy is ready. Kosa.
Okay. E-business, I believe, is the digitalization of business process to make to introduce much more of innovation to businesses. And when they come to e-business, simply the transaction of business online.
Okay. So any other?
E-commerce already, okay.
E-commerce and e-business. Any other? Okay, Prince, your hand has been up, but it looks like when you talk, we can't hear you, Prince.
Okay, Doc. Hello.
Yes, Akushia.
Okay, e-commerce refers to buying and selling online. Whilst
buying and selling.
Yes, okay. Online. Whilst e-business is business conducted online.
All right. So in brief, you let me. Okay, Richmond. But you are right. But I just want to hear people as well.
Okay. What I also know is that e-commerce has to do with business. E-commerce has to do with business, between the business and the customer. These are both online. They both rely on online, but e-commerce has to do with business and then directly to a customer, whereas the e-business has to do with two different business entities.
Okay. All right. So, well, as you can see on the screen right now, when you use a digital technology with internet, and then just push your business on the internet, just business in general on the internet is e-business. But the commerce is where only buying and selling, when the platform allows buying and selling of goods and services, that we are talking about e-commerce. So it's characterized by buying and selling. But e-business subsumes that of e-commerce. What it means is that e-commerce is a subset of e-business. So e-commerce is a form of e-business. But this one, the e-commerce only focus on buying and selling. Yes. All right. And then the nowadays we have a lot of yes.
The e-business also simply serves as like trying to create awareness of whatever business you are doing in a form of advertisement and all that.
I didn't hear that.
I'm saying that the e-business is also serves as creating an awareness of a company or an advert of that sort.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. When you compare, you use digital technology with the internet, and then just push all your business online. You push your business online. It doesn't matter what kind of business you are doing. You are running a business online. That is electronic business. So if you are selling wig and you are doing it, as you said, maybe the awareness or whatever, it may be part of a whole business setup. So they are all part of the e-business. And then the commerce is where you have just buying and selling. It's just limited to buying and selling. Other than that, any other business that you do is e-business. Then we have a lot of E's. We have government, e-government, where government use his portal, online portal, to disseminate information to us, like the Ministry of Information and all that. Then there's a lot of E's. So Amazon is an example of e-commerce, yes. In Ghana here, we have Tonaton, Jumia, and then these, a lot of e-commerce platform, OLX and all that. But, for instance, you may also have your own business online, not necessarily buying and selling, but you advertise your product. Hello? Bennett, we can't hear you. For instance, I'm a consultant to a firm where we provide training, and then training is not buying and selling. So it's an e-business. You say it again. And there's a lot of E's. We have e-government.
I was contributing.
Okay, but your network is bad. So I remember, I think in my first lecture, I asked the class to mention some of the EEs. Okay, so e-procurement, e-this, e-that, e-that, and somebody mentioned e-levy, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of E's. Please, I think we are supposed to end the class now. Next week, we will start, or let's say we'll continue from here. Collaboration and teamwork. Then we take it to the end. All right, so on this note, I will say that thank you very much for coming. And unfortunately, some of you couldn't say anything because your network was problematic.